Good evening. Welcome back to Kevin Toll Reads. Today I have a book review of Iron Lake by William Kent Krueger. This is the first book in the Cork O'Connor detective series. This book was published in 1998. I really enjoyed this book. It was really good. Cork O'Connor, or Corcoran O'Connor, is part Irish and part Anishinaabe, Native American. And he is the ex-sheriff of Aurora, Minnesota, which is the northern part of Minnesota. He had a brief stint as a police officer in Chicago and moved back to Aurora. As his time as a local sheriff, you definitely get a little bit of flashbacks into some of those brief moments and pivotal moments throughout this story, and I really enjoyed that kind of setup. The plot really kicks off in two different ways. You're getting to know in Cork and his history and these brief moments and some of the main pivotal people as he was growing up, like Sam Winter Moon, who is one of the main influences in his life. But the other part of it is the main part of the plot and kind of the today, as you're getting the flashbacks. And the today was this local paperboy and Eagle Scout named Paul who goes missing. And so some of the ties to the Native American land and reservation asked Cork to look into it, and he's obviously curious as well because he knows the boy's mother. And so he starts looking into these things, and he also knows the boy's father, Joe John. And so as he's investigating, strange things start to happen. He starts to get run off the investigation. People are dying. There's definitely secrets that come into play. And all the while he's dealing with this investigation, even though he's not licensed or a sheriff, he is getting questions from the sheriff because the local sheriff doesn't seem very capable, and that's the sheriff that beat him out in the last election. And all the while you learn later that sheriff has a wife who has Alzheimer's, so you kind of feel bad for the sheriff, but not so much. All while that's happening, his wife and lawyer, Joe, who I don't like, is separated from him. She wants a divorce. And so there's 3 children involved and all that's happening, and he's second guessing himself in the marriage because of the kids, and he's meeting Father Tom. All of this is kind of conflict and dynamics are going on, plot twists. So what I really enjoy, and I'm not really going to get into too many spoilers here, so this shouldn't spoil it for anyone, but I really enjoyed Cork. Obviously, he's kind of this down on your luck hero. He's not physically imposing. He doesn't have any special skills. He's not like a Jack Reacher type character. In fact, in a couple times he gets the crap kicked out of him, and you kind of almost feel bad for him in a way. And I don't know if that's what Krueger was going for with this kind of character development to start this series, but it worked. I really enjoyed the Indian sections, the parts where we talk about the reservation, the life of the reservation, the differences between the reservation and its people and the people in Aurora, and definitely how their treatment is of the police, and especially of Cork being kind of a half breed, so to speak. I enjoyed how Krueger talked about the local language and what it means, and he implements some of those words in there as they're speaking to each other. I really did enjoy that, and especially just the idiosyncrasies too. I thought they were very genuine in how Krueger described that. The plot and pace are just fantastic in this book. It has lots of twists and turns. The first 100 pages, I'm kind of engrossed in the story and learning about the main character. And at the same time, not a lot is happening. I mean, things are happening, but not a lot is happening, so to speak, if that makes sense. But at the same time, you're like, you just keep turning pages because it's so good. And so that was really cool. I really enjoyed, the part where the Indian tribe trusts Cork, but they trust him more than the local police, even though he's not official in that kind of sense. And then you're learning some of the backstory of why they have some trust but not full trust, and how he dealt with some of the, local fishing in Russell Blackwater, and how that all went down, and how a guy was killed, and he was the sheriff at the time, and as they're protesting, and yeah, that all was interesting backstory. The main antagonist, you gotta like him. Parrot, I think, is his name, and Sandy Parrott, I think it was his name, and you can't help but like him as the main protagonist because he's just, not likable, and so that was just perfect. You definitely don't want an antagonist that you're rooting for. This isn't Joe Abercrombie in Grimdark Fantasy where you're rooting for a character like a Galacta in that series. You know, you like him so much because he's so despicable type thing. Joe, his wife, works really well because she's just a piece of work. Yeah, again, another one of those you kind of have to have that contrasting character. I definitely love another Indian legend was the Wendigo, the kind of cannibal spirit and thing that calls your name before it takes you, and the mysterious is this just a myth type thing. I thought that was really cool. So in terms of dislikes, there's definitely twists. The plot's really solid, but you knew you don't know the whole story, but you know who's involved. It's pretty obvious. But I liked how he set it up to where you kind of, even though you know that and you're pulling on that and you're banking on that, it starts to unravel that there's more to it though. Yes, but there's more to it, that kind of thing. I thought was really cool. The other thing I disliked is just like Joe. Like such a vapid, vain person. If that was Krueger's aim to kind of paint her that way, he did a great job. I just didn't like her as a character. I just didn't. She seemed very cold and calculated. Overall, I give this book a 4.4 rating. It was fantastic in terms of a first entry to a long series. Definitely a series I'm putting on my list. I've already ordered the next 2 books. I looked for them this past weekend when I was out at a used bookstore to see if they had any. They didn't, but I ordered them off of Thrift Books because I definitely want to continue reading and seeing Cork develop and that kind of overarching story like some of my other long-term series. So highly recommend this book. James at Little Big Library is the one who got me onto this. Fantastic recommendation, James. If you haven't read this book, you need to pick it up. If you have read the Cork O'Connor series or started it and you're enjoying it or disliking it, drop me a comment. I'd like to know. So hope you're having a great day, and that is my book review. So enjoy the rest of your evening, and I will talk to you later. Thanks. Bye.